In computing's infancy, programs were hardwired into machines or encoded on punched cards. Changing a program meant rewiring circuits or reordering cards. Hardware and instructions existed as one inseparable entity, with no concept of independent software. The first software existed as machine code, binary instructions written directly for specific hardware. Each computer possessed its own instruction set. A program created for one machine proved useless on another. Programming remained slow, error-prone, and demanded deep hardware knowledge. Grace Hopper built the first compiler in 1952, translating human-readable mathematical notation into machine instructions. Her colleagues insisted computers could only perform arithmetic, not language translation. She proved them profoundly wrong, ushering in the era of high-level programming languages. FORTRAN, developed by IBM in 1957, was the first widely used high-level language. Engineers and scientists could write equations in something resembling mathematics. The compiler translated it to machine code. Suddenly, a physicist could program without becoming a machine code expert. At Bell Labs in 1969, Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie created Unix on a spare PDP-7 minicomputer. Their elegant system embodied a revolutionary principle: everything is a file. This foundational design would reshape modern computing for decades to come. Unix's elegant philosophy emerged: small tools excelling at singular tasks, chained through pipes into powerful combinations. List files with ls, search text with grep, count words with wc. This composability revolutionized computing, remaining fundamental to Linux and Mac OS systems today. Dennis Ritchie created C in 1972 to rewrite Unix portably. The language balanced hardware efficiency with abstraction, allowing programs to compile across different architectures. For the first time, software could move freely between machines. Unix spread through universities via Bell Labs' affordable academic licenses. A generation of computer scientists mastered its philosophy: files, pipes, small tools, C, embedding these principles into every system they would later build. Unix became invisible, yet everywhere. At Xerox PARC in 1973, researchers envisioned a revolutionary interface. The Alto featured windows, icons, and a mouse-controlled cursor. Users pointed and clicked rather than typing commands. Mass adoption would wait another decade. Steve Jobs glimpsed the future at Xerox PARC in 1979. Where Xerox saw a curiosity, he recognized revolution. The Macintosh arrived in 1984, transforming the graphical interface from laboratory invention into a tool for millions of ordinary people. The IBM PC of 1981 required an operating system. Bill Gates acquired QDOS, renamed it MS-DOS, and licensed it to IBM while retaining rights to sell elsewhere. When PC clones proliferated, Microsoft controlled the software powering every machine. In 1991, Finnish student Linus Torvalds posted a modest message: "Just a hobby, nothing professional." Yet his Linux kernel became the foundation of open-source computing, now powering most Internet servers, Android devices, and virtually every supercomputer on Earth. From punch cards to Grace Hopper's compiler, from Unix pipes to Xerox's graphical interface, from MS-DOS to Linux. Software evolved from raw machine code into the invisible foundation upon which modern civilization now entirely depends. I am Takku. Software is humanity's most powerful creation, replicated instantly and shaping billions of lives silently. Subscribe to Wisdom of Takku, because the instructions we write matter more than the machines that run them.